In this class, we're going to look at operations and productivity and just give some general ideas about the relationship between the two. But probably more than that, to again introduce the whole idea of operations, the importance of operations, and what it does. So, what is operations management? Let's start from that point. Well, operations management is a set of activities that creates goods and services by transforming inputs into outputs. So this is the way in which businesses transform raw materials, components, and inputs, general inputs, into outputs. The process of transferring the goods from a raw state into a process state, a final process state, is the process of adding value. That's why the business exists. It exists in order to satisfy customer needs, to be able to sell the product to the customer, generate a revenue, and provide a profit for its owners. The revenue pays the personnel of the business, it pays for the overheads of the business, it pays for the working of the business, the day-to-day operations of the business. But it must be managed. It must be managed in a way that converts the inputs into the outputs and does so efficiently. So operations management focuses on carefully managing the processes to produce and distribute products and services. It doesn't just produce the goods and services. It does so efficiently. It manages the processes of the business in an efficient format. This means looking at capital and labor, stores, production, machinery. It looks at every aspect of the business. No stones left unturned. And the quest is to find efficiencies. So production is simply the creation of goods and services. But here we're dealing with operations management, whose function it is to produce efficient goods and services which are produced efficiently through the production process. So why should we study operations management? Well, for a start, it's one of the main functions of the business. Now, depending on who you talk to, they will classify the main functions of a business in different ways. It could be somebody will classify it as marketing, finance, and operations. Okay, someone else may include human resource management, because nothing happens unless we have a labour force, and the labour force are adequately trained and catered for in terms of their requirements, health and safety, and so on. Others could talk about the importance of marketing and distribution and link the two together and talk about the overall effect of getting the product to the customer and getting it there in a timely manner and so on and so on. So it really depends on who we talk to or what books we read as to which of the major functions constitute operations management. But let's just go with the flow. Let's go with marketing, finance, and operations. What we want, or what we need to know, is how goods and services are produced. How are the goods and services produced? We want to know what operations managers do. So we have a series of questions that need to be addressed. We know that operations management is a costly part of an organization. This is the part that incurs most costs for most organizations, most companies. It's the part that has the factory unit, it has the machinery, it has the stores. It all involves processing the inputs into outputs. It involves training for the workers, recruitment, maintenance of machinery. It's an expensive part of the organization. But essentially here what we're trying to do is we're trying to find out how goods and services are produced. How should a good and service be produced? The one that the company sells. How should it be produced? how should it be produced efficiently? And we want to know, what do the managers do? What are the managers responsible for? And we must recognize that this is the big cost area for the business. There are related activities, for example, purchasing and procurement. This may be e-procurement or just standard procurement, standard purchasing in traditional manner from suppliers and warehousing and so on. There's the control of inventory. The store's management is important. Items in the store do not contribute towards the well-being of the business. Items in the store are idle. They are sitting there idle. They have been purchased in the past with scarce resource, with cash, and now they're sitting in the stores. The importance is to get them out of the stores and into production, into products that customers want, and out the door, sold. So it's important to manage inventory. It's also important to manage quality. Customers won't buy a product that's poor quality. So quality is a cost, and it must be factored into the whole production system. And operations managers must be critically aware of the importance of quality right from the start, from the quality of the raw materials, the quality of the components used, right through the production process to the final delivery of the product. Quality should permeate the whole system. Storage of the products are also important. Just looking after the products when they come off the production line until they are dispatched, for security and also for to have a stock that makes viable delivery quantities. Viable delivery quantities means the transport can run. It's efficient to do so. So items must sometimes be stored until they are delivered. So looking after the whole logistical system, from the production point when the items come off the production line to the point in which they are finally delivered to the customer. All of that should be managed carefully. And there should be constant evaluations of the whole process. Operations managers should be trained in critically evaluating their own processes, looking at the way they work and, in a sense, standing back from what they're doing and critically appraising what they're doing to see if a better way can be found, a more cost-effective way can be found. We need to be able to, the managers, the senior managers need to be able to communicate right around the system. There should be a good communications infrastructure in the business that keeps everyone informed and keeps everyone up to date as to what's happening and where everything is. Operations management often includes substantial measurement and analysis of internal processes. And the reason for this is to try and gauge the effectiveness and the efficiency of the processes. But of course, in order to measure and make sense of the measurements, we must have benchmarking. We must have some standard by which we can say performance was good or performance was bad. We can't just measure and then conclude that it was good or bad. We must have a benchmark. We must have some reference point. Ultimately, the nature of how operations management is carried out in an organization depends very much on the nature of the products or services in the organization. There's a wide variety. If we think of the number of products that we see in our everyday lives, there's a wide variety of possibilities, and we can't lay down one set of rules and say organization management should follow the following set of rules, and that's it. That's all they do. It varies from organization to organization. There are general principles we can identify, and we'll come on to some in a few moments. But there are general principles. But by and large, it does vary from one organization to another in terms of its detail. Now let's have a look at what operations managers do, according to this famous writer in the area, Henry Fayol. Well, for a start, they plan. Without planning, nothing will happen. They must plan for production. They must see the capacity of the business to produce the orders that are received, and they must plan it. If nothing else, then a Gantt chart, setting out when the order was received, when it started production, what machines it went on to, where it is in the plant or in the factory, what's happening to it currently, who's responsible for it. A plan has to be drawn up that shows its progress through the various production stages to the end. The managers must also organize all of that. They must make sure that the machines are running and that they're properly laid out and properly tooled up, and that there is capacity to produce quality output from each machine, and each operator is properly trained and knows exactly what to do in the context of each job that comes in front of him or her. So the staff are looked after. It's not just the organization of the machinery, it's the organization of the staff, and ensuring that the staff can cooperate in a sense with the machinery, with the capital, to produce the output, and the output is good quality and meets the expectations of the customer. The operations manager must also be able to lead. They must be able to do the job themselves. They must understand every bit of the tasks facing the workers, so that they can empathize, they can relate to issues, they can understand when things go wrong, they can understand how it went wrong and make provisions to fix it and to ensure it doesn't happen in the future. They should understand the nature of the production system. They should understand right from the start to the end of the line how it works, how it fits together, and be able to demonstrate that knowledge to line management and to workers, so that they lead the whole production process. And they control the production process. They control it by enabling all of the line management and the relevant managers to see where jobs have got to. They haven't lost work. They haven't lost tasks. They don't know where the job is. They don't know who's doing what. They're not sure how many's been produced. That can't happen. They should be in control. They should be in control of the job, control of the situation, and that in itself will inspire confidence on the part of the line management and the other managers in the operations management process, so that the organization fits together better and there's a feeling that it's all under control. It's all working smoothly according to the plan and according to the designs. So that's an outline of the nature of operations management and what the operations managers do, at least according to one famous writer in the area. That's all we're going to deal with in this session. I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.